We'd like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. Here with the one and only Aaron Maybin. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming through.
What's going on? I mean,
we're getting ready to start up our after-school program for the day, so the kids are just starting to trickle in.
And you are preparing snacks.
Yeah, man, it's part of what I do. I'm coming from a speaking engagement, so I don't usually have the full suit jacket and all of that on. But yeah, we start off with a little bit of snack and knock out homework. We have tutoring. We have free tutoring here 4 days a week. We have outdoor sports and activities for them. We got a computer lab in the back, a community library that I've curated. So we got a lot of stuff in here that serve as resources for our students and for the surrounding community.
Okay, and where are we located?
We're at 2950 Phelps Lane, the Hilton Rec Center.
And what's that directly outside the window there? That's the
directly outside of our window is our sister school, Green Street Academy, which is one of the few independent middle high schools in the city of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. So let's get to the 911, and it is the 911. Would you agree?
I would agree. I think that any organization as entrenched in Baltimore's history and culture as the Bea Gaddy Foundation is definitely one of our pillars. I don't think that any of my childhood friends or family members were unaffected by them in a positive way. You know, at some point you had to go there for a meal. At some point you had to go for community service hours. At some point you needed toys. At some point you needed resources, and they've always been there for us. So, you know, when I saw the APB get put out, I saw a lot of people sharing, but I didn't really see any solutions being discussed. And, you know, that's kind of how my mind works. Whenever something comes up, you know, I'm trying to connect dots and figure out how we can actually get something done.
It was you that brought to our attention the icicles on the classrooms.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've been a whistleblower of a whole lot of messed up things going on in the city. But
and I'm not getting away from Bea Gaddy, but I'm still thrown that over $15-20 billion has come through the Maryland State Lottery. Mm-hmm. It was just announced that most recently 300 million came through sports betting. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm older than you, 58. But I remember 1973 when the promise to the people of Maryland was that if you vote for the lottery, then we'll have money for education. And I am perplexed as to why, with all of these leaders, Democrat, 2-1 Democrat, blacks in every position imaginable, why we have 11 schools in Baltimore City without air heat. We got $1 billion getting ready to go to the stadiums. You play pro ball, got $1 billion going to renovate the football stadium, the baseball stadium, but we have 11 schools, and I'm not letting it go, but I digress. You haven't let it go either.
No, and I think that that's part of our problem as a community. We want a solid period at the end of every single movement or issue, right? When we had the Operation Heat campaign addressing the deficiencies within the infrastructure of our school system. In the aftermath of that, whenever people would bring me out or whatever I would be speaking on the subject, people would say, oh, well, what was it like to bring change and to do this, that, and the third? And I said, you know, let's back up real quick. We had pockets of change that we were able to, you know, achieve. Like the school that I was teaching at personally got a new system, you know what I mean? But the vast number of schools that were dealing with that didn't. You know, we were giving them heaters and coats.
Unacceptable.
And items like that's not a solution to that problem. And I push back against people that try to make it seem like we fixed anything. Nah, like it's impossible.
You certainly brought attention to it, though.
Yeah.
You could be doing anything out here, including today, to come in and see you know, preparing for snacks for the children, the students. We were young. We were once children. We were once students. We came to this rec I went to Easterwood. You went to another rec.
The thing is, I was supposed to. This is the beautiful thing about us being in this location. I would have been coming to this one if it was available to me. You know what I mean? But this building,
It wasn't a rec then.
nah, it way back years ago, before I was born, it was a rec center. So the older elders in this community, when they were kids,
It was a rec.
they had baseball, softball teams. They, had summer camps.
Saving lives.
All of the things that we do today, they had access to. But think about that generation, my generation and the generations that follow, the No Child Left Behind generation, where we all were left behind in spite of what the policy said they were going to do. You know what I mean? They said all of that lip service. Like you said, they made a lot of empty promises, but at the very same time, they divested in our schools, they divested in our recreational opportunities, they divested in the resources that they refused to pour into our community. And then they blamed us for the state of our community deteriorating like there was any other foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
With the divestment, with the lack of jobs, with the lack of opportunity.
You starved these people.
We're not talking about Bethlehem Steel's Baltimore anymore. We're not talking about, the Baltimore that had work that paid a living wage to people that didn't have college degrees. You don't have a social safety net that exists for this generation of youth. And because of that, there's a nihilism that is setting into this generation that is really a sickness that we're all infected by. The fact that we just accept the tragic and the traumatizing as casual circumstance. The fact that a lot of our young people don't expect to make it to the age of 30 years old. You know what I mean? That's a sickness. And that's something that doesn't get addressed by locking people up. You know what I mean? Or trying to arrest away the issue or trying to legislate away the issue. We actually got to address this thing with a wraparound approach. And that requires bringing resources to the table. That requires empathy, love, understanding. And that requires us doing a little bit more than complaining. So myself, my partner, Torrey Smith, his wife, Chanel Smith, the partners that we have at the table, the Baltimore Ravens, the Boys and Girls Club, etc. It started off with the three of us coming together and figuring out what we needed to do to get the project off the ground. But since we've been able to open back up in 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, mind you, the way that we've been able to serve in community has shown people what's possible through that type of investment. So now we've arrived at the place where we are getting the massive investment from the Ravens and the city of Baltimore that's going to allow us to expand this building and these facilities so we can do an even greater work. But I tell people all the time, if you don't get out of the car and start pushing, you're going to be waiting on AAA for forever and a day. But at the end of the day, if we decide that we're going to be a part of our own rescue and we decide that we can identify the resources that aren't there, but figure out how we can provide them ourselves rather than begging a politician or a benefactor to do it for us. When they see us doing that, they'll have no choice but to match that energy, and that's my thing. I think that, we can have all of the smoke necessary for our elected officials, but they work for us, and we ultimately are also in charge of deciding the course of this city through our actions, not just our words. And when we move with our actions with intention, that sets an example that people have to either follow themselves or get out of the damn way and let us do the work ourselves.
Bea Gaddy.
Absolutely.
Bea Gaddy Center. I initially thought there was a conspiracy, but I've been enlightened. But whatever the case, you got the word. What did you get? You got the APB that said what?
Basically, I got the correspondence that was circulating that pretty much said that out of the blue, they were informed that not only they wouldn't have the recreation center space that they usually have to do their annual
Patterson Park.
Say it again.
Patterson Park.
Absolutely. At Patterson Park, they do an annual event where they give away Thanksgiving dinners, but it's
To
much more
how many
than
people?
It's much more than just the event at Patterson Park. What you got to understand about Bea Gaddy,
50,000
they
people,
give away over
right?
50,000 meals every single year. They cook for an entire week, and they supply not just Baltimore City, but all of the surrounding counties. the elders in those communities, the senior citizens' homes, the families that are on hard times and in need of assistance. They look to Bea Gaddy as a reliable institution that will always have their back. And now, 6 weeks out from their annual event where they have a massive amount of volunteers and people that keep all of their things afloat, they're informed that not only do they not have access to the rec center that they usually do this event at, but they also don't have access to the church kitchen that they use across the street where they prepare these thousands.
See, that makes me think conspiracy, but
hey, look, I could waste a whole bunch of time thinking about whether or not that's a conspiracy, but it doesn't change the issue itself and the pressing nature of the fact that they need a place to be housed for that time, and they need a place where they can prepare that food. So knowing that, I was looking around to all of the people that had shared this with me, and I was asking, what can we do? Because we're in my rec center right now. We've got a lot of great things here, but we don't have the space necessary to house that kind of initiative, or I would have just given them the space ourselves. But I knew that I was connected to people that did have solutions. And, you know, if I could circulate the information enough and put it in front of enough people, those resources would start to make themselves available. So long story short, I didn't want to reach out without first getting a update on what was needed. So it took me a while to make contact. But once I was able to make contact and understand exactly how much she was struggling with and trying to figure out what next steps were, I was saying, all right, look, now's the time to lean on your village. You guys have served the village for years without complaint, you know what I mean, consistently and all of that. Now let us figure out how to serve you. So I started making phone calls. I was able to find a good friend of mine who just purchased a substantial piece of real estate in the city that has kitchens and things like that available. I was able to get in touch with him, and he's gonna make a portion of those kitchens available to them, in addition to doing his own stuff for Thanksgiving. There were people that had venues and locations that they are eager to make available to Bea Gaddy and all of their volunteers to use for that event. It's just a matter now of connecting dots, seeing what is most efficient and makes most sense based on what they've done in the past. We want to try to make that transition as seamless as possible. So bringing the right people to the table that will allow that have that kind of space, that have the resources and can connect the dots that they still need connected. So I was able to reach out to some folks and just to connect them. You know, I don't think that that's something, you know, overly amazing. I think that that's something that all of us as constituents, as people in the city of Baltimore that love our community and understand that it's our responsibility to uplift and look out for one another. That's what we all should be doing. That should be the type of time that we are all on. That should be the code that we're all living and operating by.
Any other thoughts?
No. I hope that in this situation specifically, and I'll make sure that I continue to be transparent through, you know, my sharing on social media and all of those things. We have a tendency as a community to want to hear some good news and say, okay, some people have reached out and said they want to help, and say, okay, let's put a bow on that. That's done, and let's move on to something else. It's not done yet, you know. And I'm also not a board member. I'm not affiliated with this organization or all of that kind of stuff. So in wanting not to overstep any bounds or anything like that, I'm trying my best to make sure that I'm in a communication with their leadership, figuring out exactly what they need and how I can serve, and making myself available to serve them. I would like to see as many people as possible reaching out to do the same, because they've always done it for us. That's the standard.
Cynthia Brooks said, if you ever put your name in the ring to run for office, the world, Baltimore, the politicians, the status quo better look out.
I appreciate her love, but as I told her, I'm just a soldier and a servant. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that run around and try to serve for show because they're looking to win votes and looking to do anything. I'm not. I genuinely just want to help to establish this as the new norm. We need to see examples of black men and women, for that matter, that just love our people, love our community, love our city, want to see our people rise, want to see our community sustainable and strong, and are willing to do the hard work necessary to make it happen. You don't need to be an elected official to make that happen. And to be completely honest and transparent, I don't know that if I was in a position of elected office that I would be as effective as I am now. I think part of the reason why when folks hear I'm working on something, they start moving a certain way is because they know I'm willing to go a whole lot further than you're willing to go to make it happen. Because I'm not trying to please any constituents. I'm not trying to I don't have any benefactors that I'm beholden to. Ain't nobody pimping me. You know what I mean? I sleep like a baby at night because I know that I'm not beholden to anybody but my community. That's who I'm accountable to. And that's the way that I want to keep it. I think that when we have it that way, and when we can set the precedent of us looking out for us taking care of us, and then us being organized enough to actually be able to hold our policymakers accountable, then we'll actually get the changes that we need.
You make your family, our city, our country proud. We're proud of you, Mr. Maybin.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Keep watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.